Okay, part two of that CCX media video. Like I say, sometimes I confuse myself where I feel like I just damaged myself, and I feel like, or not really in damage, but embarrassed myself to where I just need a fresh take. And that's why I ended that video at one something, you know, and so on. Sometimes I feel like I either embarrassed myself or damaged myself, which is pretty much the same thing when it comes to the context. And then my mind flips and says, okay, you need to delete that and start over, fresh take, etc. So with that being said, even I forgot what I was gonna make this video of, but I think I'll go on one of the latest things in my mind. It's once at the battle of being a perfectionist. Um, sorry, trying to feel like if I want to burp or not. Forgive me. So the battle of being a perfectionist, ladies and gentlemen, is this. I really wouldn't call my drive of what I do with music being a perfectionist whatsoever. I wouldn't call it a perfectionist drive. Because, like I've said before in other videos, I've released a lot of bits of music that some of y'all will call absolutely cringy, let alone that I've called some bits of it cringy, just depending on what song, depending on what year, and so on. Some of my songs in the past have been very cringy, let alone also depending on what account they're on. Some of them have been very cringy. Other songs have been bullet, 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 surefire, he killed it, yada, yada, yada. I wouldn't call my drive in music a perfectionist drive, but I want to tell people how my mental health works when it comes to music. If not just my mentality, a better word of saying it. My mentality with music is to where I definitely don't drop every day, and I don't try to drop every day. I could if I wanted to, but that's not my drive in music. My drive is definitely to drop maybe once or twice a week, if not once or twice every other couple weeks. Definitely drop a few times every month, probably a more definite version of saying it. So that's something I want people to understand. And my drive with music is so connected that I think it was definitely during my high school years, maybe a good year, if not 2 years during my high school years. I literally had a habit of dropping an album every single month, because that's just how I did music, and I still do music the same way. In terms of at least of writing, I still do it the same way, where I can literally drop a new album every month if that's what I wanted to do. And with that being said, I want people to understand my drive with music is to where I always have to drop something. It just always depends on when I feel like dropping something. But I'm always going to drop a few times a month, and so on. If I don't drop a whole album a month, I'm always going to drop a few songs a month. That's literally my drive in music. And when it comes to doing that, I want everybody to understand. Like, my drive in music is so weary or eerie to where it's like I can never have enough material out there. And I mean, in terms of, ladies and gentlemen, I could literally drop a million songs and still feel like I never dropped enough, you know. And it's a tireless, relentless drive to always have new music out there. I have a tireless, relentless drive to always have new music out there, you know. And I mean, and I guess the drive is so bad or so good, whichever word fits that phrase best, to where, or the drive is so deep, it's so fast or whatever, to where, ladies and gentlemen, my mind will start to diminish everything else that I've dropped just so I can drop more and more and more stuff. And that's why I don't want to call it a perfectionist drive. But if you wanted to call it a perfectionist drive, you could. I wouldn't call it one, but you could if you wanted to. Because I'm not playing with you. My drive towards dropping new music is so, it's so driven to where even into to where literally my mind will start to diminish everything else I've dropped just so I can drop new music. Like, I can never drop enough music. I can never satisfy my music cravings for dropping new music. Like, I might have some times of settlement of, like, I feel good that I dropped something, but I'm always going to want to drop something else eventually. Just give it a couple days and not a couple weeks. I always have a drive to drop more new music, to where sometimes my drive will start to diminish everything else I've already dropped. Because I've already dropped a lot of songs over the years, to where my drive will start to diminish everything else I've already dropped and tell me, no, you have to drop 100 more songs. You have to drop theoretically more, practically, in terms of one day, or at least in terms of, how I drop now, to where, no, you have to drop 2 songs here or 3 songs there or even 4 songs here. You just have to always drop something new, to where even if to where sometimes my drive will start to diminish everything else I've dropped, just so I can always have more catalogs and new catalogs out there for you to listen to. I'm pretty sure you understand the point there. Like I can literally, I can probably drop two albums in back-to-back weeks. And my drive is like to where I can drop 2 albums in back-to-back weeks, right? And come around, like say it's January. I can drop an album in January and an album in February. And my drive or my mind will attack me to where I have to turn around in April and drop, probably, let's say, 3 albums in 1 month. And I mean in terms of, and not all these numbers are in order here, but I mean the drive is like that to where it's like, even if I just drop 2 albums to begin this year, it's like, even if I just drop 2 albums to begin this year, my drive will force me to drop more stuff because I feel like I never did enough, or I never dropped enough, or or my drive will force me to drop more stuff because my drive will force me to drop new stuff because it will start to diminish everything else I've dropped of like what I just dropped wasn't good enough. You have to drop something again and again and again. I wouldn't call it a perfectionist drive, but it is a relentless drive to always have something new out there for the fans to vibe with, to relate to, and to listen to. That's what I would call it. It is a relentless drive. That's what it is. It's definitely not, I wouldn't call it a perfectionist drive. Because like I said, some of this music, when I listen to it, I'm like, what was I going for here? And sometimes I still might put it out just to have it out there for people to, listen to and try to connect to in any sort of way that they can. So I definitely wouldn't call it a perfection drive because some of this music, like I said before, I might know it's cringy and y'all might think it's dope. Because I'm telling you, not all of the music that I've ever dropped in my career from the start to now has been great. Some of it has been downright borderline cringy to where my flow is try to get the next word out of my mouth. That's why I keep saying it like a broken record. But yeah, as I was saying, it really is the worst. Some songs I'll be like, yeah, that was and then y'all be like, no, that was fire. Thank you for loving everything that I put out, no matter what. But it is a relentless drive to where my brain will start to diminish everything else I've dropped just so I can drop something new. And trust me, I don't need that motivation because I'm gonna drop something regardless. But I mean, it's hard to explain what I'm trying to get out here to you, but I think you get the gist of it. It's a relentless drive to always drop something new to where at times your mind will attack you to diminish everything else you've dropped just so you can drop something new, even if you were gonna drop something new already. I wouldn't call it a perfectionist drive, but it is a relentless drive to always have something new out there for the fans to vibe with, relate to, and listen to. I'm pretty sure everybody can understand. It really might be a perfectionist drive. I wouldn't claim it that, but it probably is that. And I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all can relate to that. Honestly, a lot of artists can relate to that. Always having a perfectionist drive to where nothing's ever good enough, with your art. And it's like, even if it is good enough, but you just want to drop more and more and more, because that's how your perfectionist drive works, to where even if you just killed this record, you're like, no, let's keep on going, let's keep on going, let's keep on going, until you've got that load off you, and then it comes back, I guess, within the next, like I say, in my case, next 2 weeks, he'll come back and say, drop something else. To where, wait a minute, then I just dropped something last week, but it's like, no, drop something else. Not because I have to, but drop something else because, either I just feel like I ain't got nothing better else to do, or drop something else because, once again, my mind will start to diminish what I just dropped, as like, that wasn't good enough, drop something else that's, better, than that to an extent. I mean, you can call it a perfectionist drive if you want to. I wouldn't call it that, but you totally can. And by God's grace, you totally understand. And other than that, I would like to tell people, see, if something's ever gonna be not good enough, it's gotta come from me. If it's coming from me, when it comes to my relentless drive to do something like release new music, then I'm okay with that. But where you go borderline insane at, or borderline just garbage at, is when someone else wants to make you feel like you're never good enough when you do everything for them, and so on and so on. Now that's when we dive off the deep end and we got a problem. Shout out, God bless, the singer named Cry Gare, I think that's her name, Cry Gare. It's spelled Krigare, if I'm not mistaken. You can look her up. She has a song off her one of her 2018 album titled Deep End, just to let you know. But I hope everybody gets the gist of what I'm trying to explain here. It definitely is a drive. I love my drive for the most part. It never really makes me feel, uncomfortable. It's really a good drive to have, to always want to drop something new, even if you did just drop something last week. But I'm also trying to explain, it's a drive to where even to where my mind will start to diminish everything else I've dropped, as not good enough, just so I can always have something out there that is good enough. And I think that might just be a perfectionist drive. If it is, it is. If it's not, it's not. I just know it's a relentless drive that I'm okay with, and it's been serving me greatly, which is why I drop all the music that I drop the way that I drop it. I'm not afraid or ashamed of it. I'm proud of always having new music out there for the kids to listen to, as I predominantly market towards kids, anyway. And the song I just dropped today, while I'm still filming this video, was titled MSM2, VRA Kid for Life. And MSM2 stands for Middle School Mentor 2, or does it Middle School Mentor Part 2. The first Middle School Mentor is on my Younglings Nation 3 SoundCloud, if I'm not mistaken. So you can look that up, Younglings Nation 3 SoundCloud. The original one is on there, and now this is the second version of it, Middle School Mentor Part 2. The difference is that the first Middle School Mentor had a lot of melody in it. And I mean, well, actually, no, it didn't have a lot of melody to it. It actually was more of a rap version than the second version. That's actually the core differences between both Middle School Mentors. The first Middle School Mentor was definitely all rap except for the beginning. The beginning was full of no beat melody. No beat melody, no beat melody, and no beat melody, and the rest was a rap. The second version was literally had a couple verses, but was all melody, was all me singing. I'm a valley rich kid for life. I'm a valley rich kid for life. I'm a valley rich kid, valley rich kid. Valley Rich Kid for Life. Yeah, just to sing it for you, Valley Rich Kid for Life. And I'm loving it, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I mean when I say God bless all my VRA, Valley Ridge Academy Hawks. Because I also posted something earlier saying that because I am your ambassador, I don't know what the timeline for what I'm going to do is, but I promise you, as my career continues to grow and expand, making music and traveling to different schools and supporting more kids, I am going to make sure that VRA's not attendance, enrollment. My goal is to make sure VRA's enrollment triples over in whatever time span. So what that means is VRA, I make you cool, let alone the kids are awesome in general, etc. And so what that means is VRA, you're going to be one of the most popping schools, if you're not already the most popping school, I would say, in the whole state. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. Valley Ridge Academy is a key thread if you didn't know. But if the picture that I captioned earlier today saying that I'm going to triple VRA's enrollment, VRA, you're going to have more kids than what you can handle. Now, for some kids, some people are like, don't triple this, don't do that. Okay, what I mean when I'm going to triple it, and that means I am going to triple it, that means people are going to want to come. Excuse me. I'm going to triple your enrollment, which means, obviously, more people are going to come to your school and be flooded. Some people are probably like, please don't do that, please don't do